Kenya has been celebrating its 56th Independence Day, and we are glad that you've chosen NTV. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. We will be crossing over live to the Nyayo National Stadium in just a moment. Edmund Nyabola has been on the ground and he'll bring us the very latest. The day has consisted, as usual, of song, dance, celebrations, and also various speeches, in particular the keynote speech being made by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's now take you live to the Nyayo National Stadium, where Edmund Nyabola brings us the latest.
Thank you so much, Smriti. As you said, the celebrations have just come to a close here at the Nyayo National Stadium. The 56th Jamhuri Day celebrations, led, of course, by President Uhuru Kenyatta, who made a very passionate case about what he believes is a journey of transformation that he's led ever since taking over office in 2013. He talked about, I should say, issues of development, issues of the economy, issues of national unity and cohesion, and of course values, and key among them being the issue of conflict of interest. This, of course, coming as a result of what we've seen in the court case involving Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, in which some of the public officials, elected leaders, senators, who've been in court representing the governor, and the president thinks that is not the right way to do things. He says that people cannot be represented on a private capacity by individuals who have the power and the ability to change the law. Speaking, of course, of legislators, we have seen Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, among a barrage of barristers who actually were in court representing Governor Mike Sonko. And that was not the first. This is an issue that has been spoken about for quite a while. One of the recommendations in the Building Bridges Initiative report that was received by the president earlier, and the opposition leader Raila Odinga as well. So he says that his government is in the process, or he's directed the Attorney General to draft a bill on conflict of interest to be tabled in Parliament to be passed to ensure that public servants only dedicate their time to serving Kenyans and serving in the roles and capacities for which they are appointed to. And he says, in fact, in quote, in Kiswahili, he says, "Mutu alazimishwi kufanya hii kazi." And so if you can't, then just walk away from it. If you're elected or appointed to serve in any public office, therefore, that is where you need to concentrate. And that's the point the president was hammering home. One of the key things really to come out of his speech today, of course, leading on to the drafting of that bill by the Office of the Attorney General and the State Law Office to be presented in Parliament in that case. The president also spoke about the issue of national unity, our national ethos, issues of development, talking about roads, ports, the rail, electricity, among other things that he believes his government has put in place ever since coming into power in 2013. He also spoke about issues of governance of values. Key, of course, being the issue of corruption and the fight against corruption, at least asking state officials and public servants to be to exercise fidelity in carrying out their mandate, and not to, as many would say, dip their hands in the cookie jar, at least in a manner that they shouldn't, by stealing, is a word that is being used out here, stealing from the public coffers for their own benefit, while in that case they should be serving Kenyans as leaders who were elected and appointed to serve in various capacities in this country. So the issue of governance and the ethics in governance also coming out of the president's speech. He also did talk about the issue, at least one or two issues touching on the economy, talking about the collection of statutory payments to be streamlined, PAYE, NHIF, NSSF, among other issues, and also the waiver of fees of commercial disputes in cases of amounts less than 1 million shillings as well. He did talk about that, among other issues touching on the economy and the general welfare of Kenyans when it comes to economic issues as well. Not much in terms of politics or issues around the Building Bridges Initiative, as we've seen the president talk about in the recent past, ever since the handing over and the launch of that report. Today, even no off-the-cuff speech. He read his written speech, and after that he was done. Before him came the chief guest who spoke, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor Motley, who was the chief guest of the head of state and the country in this ceremony, talking about the relationship between Kenya and Barbados, which has heightened ever since the president went to the Caribbean on that campaign for the United Nations Security Council non-permanent seat. And that's why the head of state, or the Prime Minister for Barbados, was here, having also taken part in the ACP conference as well. So not much from the president's speech, aside from issues of the conflict of interest, governance, issues of national ethos and national unity, and also issues of the economy from the president. But the key thing to come out of that speech is the issue of conflict of interest, where he says the State Law Office under the Attorney General will draft a bill on conflict of interest to be presented in Parliament to ensure that public officers, public servants appointed and elected do not serve in private capacities, therefore creating a conflict of interest in serving in the various positions for which they are elected and appointed. Smriti.